3 days had passed since the humans arrived at the Galactic Council station. June spent his time learning about alien species and sharing information about Earth. He enjoyed talking with Sunmi, who asked many questions about Earth's animals. On the 4th day, alarms rang throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the hallways. June rushed out of his room to see what was happening. "What's going on?" he asked a passing alien. "Emergency council meeting," the alien said. "Something bad has happened." June followed the crowd to the main council chamber. The room was full of nervous aliens. Some were shouting. Others looked afraid. Captain Lee spotted June and waved him over. "They're letting us attend," she said. "This might be important." Taiho stood in the center of the room. His usual confident look was gone. He seemed worried. "Silence," he shouted. The room grew quiet. "We have received terrible news. The Void Stalker has returned." Many aliens gasped. Some made high-pitched sounds of fear. "What's a Void Stalker?" Joan whispered to Captain Lee. She shrugged. Taiho continued. 3 outposts on the edge of our territory have been destroyed. Survivors report seeing the creature. There is no doubt. It is the Void Stalker. Images appeared on the large screens around the room. June saw a massive black shape moving through space. It was hard to see clearly, but it looked like a huge animal with scales that shimmered like oil on water. "The Void Stalker is the most dangerous predator known to the galaxy," Taiho explained. "We thought they were extinct. This one must be the last of its kind." Another council member spoke up. "Our weapons have little effect. The creature absorbs energy beams, and physical weapons cannot penetrate its hide." "What about traps?" asked someone. "We tried those in the past," said Taiho. "The Void Stalker learns quickly. It won't fall for the same trick twice." June listened carefully. From the descriptions, the Void Stalker sounded like a space-dwelling apex predator, similar to how sharks or tigers were apex predators on Earth. "The Council will send our strongest ships to hunt this beast," Taiho announced. "We must kill it before it destroys more outposts." June raised his hand. Everyone turned to look at him. "Yes, human," Taiho said with annoyance. "Have you tried understanding the creature?" June asked. "Maybe there's a reason it's attacking." The room filled with laughter. Taiho's red eyes narrowed. "Understand it. The Void Stalker is a mindless killer. It exists only to hunt and destroy. On Earth, we've learned that predators usually have reasons for their behavior," Jun said. "They might be protecting territory or hunting for food, or—" "This is not one of your Earth animals," Taiho interrupted. "This is a monster that has killed thousands. Your primitive understanding of biology is useless here." June felt his face get hot, but he didn't back down. "I'd like to see the data you have on the Void Stalker. I might notice something you missed." The council members whispered to each other. Most seemed amused by June's confidence. "Very well," Taiho said with a cruel smile. "The human can review our files. Perhaps when you see what you're dealing with, you will understand your own limitations." After the meeting, Sunny approached June in the hallway. "That was brave," she said quietly, "but also foolish. The Void Stalker is not like anything on your planet." "I just want to help," June replied. Sunny looked around to make sure no one was listening. "I work in the biology department. I can show you more information than what Taiho will give you. Meet me in Lab 6 tonight." That night, Jun snuck through the quiet hallways to meet Sunmi. The lab door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, Sunmi stood next to a large screen filled with images and data. "This is everything we know about the Void Stalker," she said. "Most of it is classified." As June looked at the information, he noticed patterns that the council had missed. The attacks weren't random, and the creature's behavior showed signs of intelligence. "I think I can help with this," Jun said. "But I'll need to see the Void Stalker myself." Sunmi's eyes widened. "That would be suicide." Jun smiled. Sometimes the most dangerous animals are the ones that need our help the most. This is a terrible idea, Sumi said as she helped June pack supplies into a small ship. The council will be very angry when they find out. If, June corrected her with a smile. If they find out. It had been 2 days since June learned about the Void Stalker. After studying the data Sumi showed him, he was more convinced than ever that the creature was misunderstood. The Void Stalker only attacked certain types of outposts, and always after they sent out specific signals. "You don't have to come with me," June told Sumi. "This could be dangerous." Sumi's purple skin darkened, which June had learned was how her species blushed. "Someone needs to make sure you don't get yourself killed," she said. "Besides, I want to see the Void Stalker too." From a safe distance. They had borrowed a small research ship from the biology department. Sumi had filed fake paperwork saying they were collecting samples from a nearby moon. In reality, they were heading to Nexus 7, a remote planet where the Void Stalker had recently been seen. The journey would take 3 days. As they left the council station, June felt both excited and afraid. No human had ever traveled this far into space before. "Tell me more about Earth animals," Sumi said as their ship entered light speed. "How do you approach dangerous predators there?" June showed her pictures of wildlife researchers working with lions, sharks, and bears. "The key is respect," he explained. "You must respect their power and their territory. Never corner them. Never threaten them. Show them you're not a threat." "And this works?" Sumi asked, her large eyes blinking in surprise. "Not always," June admitted, "but often enough. Many predators are curious. They don't want to waste energy fighting if they don't need to." On the second day of their journey, their ship's alarm went off. Something was approaching them fast. "Is it the Void Stalker?" June asked, rushing to the control panel. "No," Sumi said, checking the scanner. "It's another ship. A small one." A gruff voice came through their communication system. "Research vessel, stop your engines. Prepare to be boarded." June and Sumi looked at each other in alarm. Had the council discovered their plan? "We have no choice," Sumi whispered. "If we try to run, they'll shoot us down." They stopped the ship and waited nervously as the other vessel attached to theirs with a docking tube. The door opened with a hiss. A tall alien stepped through. His skin was gray and covered in scars. One of his 4 eyes was cloudy white, clearly blind. He carried a large weapon and wore beat-up armor. "Who are you?" the stranger demanded. "I'm Jun from Earth. This is Sumi of the Eldoran. We're on a research mission." The alien laughed, a harsh sound like rocks grinding together. "A research mission to Nexus 7. Do you have a death wish?" "We're studying the Void Stalker," Sumi admitted. The stranger's good eyes widened. Then he did something unexpected. He sat down heavily on a nearby chair and placed his weapon on the floor. "My name is Dai," he said. "I'm a bounty hunter. Or I was, until the Void Stalker destroyed my team and my ship." He pulled off his armored glove and showed them his hand. It was badly scarred, with 2 fingers missing. "This is what happens when you get too close to the beast," Dai said bitterly. June noticed that the wounds looked infected. Without thinking, he reached for his medical kit. "I can help with that," he said. "Earth medicine might work differently on your species." Dai pulled his hand away. "Why would you help me?" "I just tried to rob your ship." "Because you're in pain," June said simply. "And because you've seen the Void Stalker up close. We can help each other." Dai studied June with his 3 good eyes. Then, slowly, he extended his injured hand. As June treated the infection with antibiotics from Earth, Dai told them about his encounter with the Void Stalker. "It came out of nowhere, tore through our shields like they were paper. But the strangest thing was," he paused, "it could have killed us all. Instead, it only attacked our communication array, almost like it was targeting it specifically." June and Sumi exchanged excited looks. This matched the pattern they had seen in the data. Will you take us to where you saw it? June asked. Day laughed again, but this time there was less harshness in it. You really do have a death wish. He flexed his hand, already looking better from June's treatment. But I owe you now. I'll take you there. Just don't blame me when we all end up dead. Nexus 7 was a small planet with 3 moons. From space, it looked like a blue-green marble with swirls of white clouds. But as their ship got closer, June could see that much of the planet was covered in dense forests. The Void Stalker was last seen near the northern mountains, Daz said, pointing to a spot on the map. We'll set up camp in this valley. It gives us a good view, but also places to hide. They landed the ship in a clearing surrounded by tall trees with purple leaves. The air was breathable, but had a sweet smell that reminded June of cinnamon. We should set up the sensors first, Sumi said. She carried a box of small devices. These will alert us if anything large comes near. Day checked his weapons. Sensors won't help much. By the time they warn us, it will be too late. They're not for warning, June explained. They're for collecting data. I want to understand the Void Stalker's behavior patterns. Day shook his head. You can't understand something that just wants to kill you. They spent the day setting up their camp. June and Sumi placed sensors in a wide circle around the area. Dad built a shelter using parts from the ship and materials from the forest. That night, they sat around a small heating unit, eating their rations. The 3 moons of Nexus 7 shone brightly in the sky, casting multiple shadows on the ground. Tell us about your encounter, June said to Dai. Every detail could be important. Day's face darkened. We were transporting cargo from the mining colony on Teryx to Council space. Nothing special, just minerals. Then our sensors went crazy. Something massive was approaching fast. He took a deep breath before continuing. It was huge, at least 12 meters long. Black scales that seemed to swallow light. And it had these markings, glowing blue lines across its body. Bioluminescence, Sumi said. Many deep space creatures use it. We tried to run, Dot continued, but it was faster. It hit our ship like a meteor, tore right through the hull. We fired everything we had, energy weapons, physical projectiles. Nothing worked. The energy weapons just made it, stronger somehow. It absorbs energy, Jones said. That's in the council records. Day nodded. Then it went straight for our communication array, ripped it apart. That's when I got these. He held up his scared hand. Tried to fix the array. Stupid mistake. But you survived, June pointed out. If it just wanted to kill, why didn't it? Before Dai could answer, a loud beeping sound came from Sumi's equipment. Something's triggering the sensors, she exclaimed, rushing to her devices. It's big, and it's moving fast. The ground beneath them trembled. Trees in the distance swayed and fell. It's coming, Dai shouted, grabbing his weapon. Back to the ship. But it was too late. A massive shape burst through the trees. Just as Dai had described, it was enormous, with black scales that seemed to absorb the moonlight. Blue markings glowed along its serpent-like body. It had no legs, but powerful fins or wings extended from its sides. The Void Stalker hovered above them, its body undulating like a snake swimming through water. It had no visible eyes, but Jun felt certain it was looking right at them. Don't move, Jun whispered. Don't run. Are you crazy? Dai hissed. We need tow. The Void Stalker suddenly dove toward their camp. Its massive body smashed through their equipment. Sumi screamed as her sensors were crushed. Dai fired his weapon, but the energy beams seemed to be absorbed into the creature's scales. The creature whipped its tail around, striking Dai and sending him flying. He hit a tree hard and crumpled to the ground. Dai, Jun shouted, running toward his fallen companion. The Void Stalker turned its attention to the ship. With one powerful strike, it damaged the communications array, just as Dai had described from his previous encounter. As Jun reached Dai, he noticed something strange. The Void Stalker was moving oddly, almost like it was in pain. Its blue markings flashed rapidly, and it made a low, moaning sound that June felt in his chest more than heard with his ears. "It's not attacking randomly," June said as he checked Day's injuries. "It's targeting our communication equipment. And look, it seems to be in pain." Suddenly crept over to them, keeping low to the ground. "In pain. It's destroying everything." "No," Jun said, watching the creature carefully. "It's destroying specific things. And its movements. They're defensive, not aggressive." The Void Stalker circled their camp once more, then suddenly shot up into the sky and disappeared among the stars. "We're still alive," Sunny whispered in disbelief. June nodded, helping the injured Dad to sit up. "And now I have a theory about why." Morning came to Nexus 7 with a soft purple light. June had not slept much. He spent the night watching over Day, whose injuries were serious but not life-threatening. Sunny had tried to fix their damaged equipment. "How is he?" Sunny asked, bringing June a cup of hot liquid that tasted like mint. "He'll live," June said, "but he needs proper medical care soon." Day opened his eyes and tried to sit up. "Did I dream it, or did we actually survive a Void Stalker attack?" "We survived," June confirmed, "and I think I'm starting to understand why." June walked over to the remains of their camp. The Void Stalker had destroyed most of their equipment, but it had been very selective about what it attacked. "Look at this," Jun said, pointing to their supplies. "Food, water, medical equipment, all untouched. But anything that sends or receives signals was destroyed." Sunny frowned. "You think it specifically targets communication equipment? Why?" "On Earth, some animals react strongly to certain sounds that humans can't hear," June explained. "Dogs, for example, can hear high-pitched whistles that are silent to us." He picked up a broken piece of their communication array. "What if the Void Stalker is sensitive to certain frequencies? Frequencies used in Galactic Council communications." "That's possible," Sunny admitted. "Our communication systems use quantum frequencies that travel faster than light. They're supposed to be harmless to all known species." "Known species," Joan emphasized. "The Void Stalker was thought to be extinct. Maybe no one tested these frequencies on them." Day laughed weakly. "So you're saying we're basically screaming in its ears, and it's attacking to make the noise stop?" "Something like that," June nodded. "And it would explain why it's only attacking certain outposts and ships." June began gathering pieces of their broken equipment. His mind raced with ideas. On Earth, he had studied how animals communicate and react to their environment. Now he needed to apply that knowledge to a creature from space. "I need to build something," he told the others. "A device that can neutralize these frequencies." "With what?" Sunny asked, looking at their destroyed equipment. "We barely have enough working tech to call for help." "We don't need much," Jun said. "Just basic components and your knowledge of Council technology." For the next few hours, June and Sunny worked together. Dai watched them, still too injured to help much. "This is crazy," Dai muttered. "Even if you're right, how does this help us? The creature will still attack." "Maybe not," June said as he connected wires in the small device he was building. "If we can stop the frequencies that hurt it, maybe it will leave us alone." By midday, June had finished his device. It was small and simple, just a modified communication unit that could create a bubble of quiet around them. "This should neutralize the frequencies used in Council communications," he explained, "at least in a small area around us." "And if it doesn't work?" Dai asked. "Then we'll probably die," June admitted. "But I think it's worth trying." Sunny checked their sensors, the few that still worked. "Something's coming," she said nervously. "Same size and speed as before." "Turn on the device," June told her. Sunny activated June's creation. A soft hum filled the air, but nothing else seemed to happen. The trees began to shake. The ground trembled. The Void Stalker was returning. "Get ready," Dai said, raising his weapon despite his injuries. The massive creature burst through the trees just as it had the night before. Its black scales gleamed in the sunlight. The blue markings along its body pulsed rapidly. But this time, something was different. The Void Stalker stopped at the edge of their camp. It hovered there, its body swaying gently. "It's not attacking," Sumney whispered in amazement. The creature moved closer, but slowly. Its head, if you could call it that, turned from side to side, as if it was studying them. "The device is working," Jones said quietly. "It's not in pain anymore." The Void Stalker circled their camp once, twice, 3 times. Each time, it came a little closer. Its movements were no longer aggressive. They seemed almost curious. "I don't believe it," Daz said. "It's like a completely different creature." June watched the Void Stalker carefully. Its body language was changing. The blue markings pulsed more slowly now. Its movements became smoother. "It's not a mindless killer," June said. "It's an intelligent being that was being hurt by our technology." As if to prove his point, the Void Stalker drifted away peacefully, disappearing into the forest without attacking. Day stared at the spot where it had vanished. "The Council won't believe this." "They will when we show them proof," Jum said, looking at Sumney's recording device. "And this is just the beginning." Over the next 2 days, the Void Stalker returned several times. Each visit lasted longer than the one before. The creature seemed to be growing more comfortable around them. "It's studying us," June told the others as they watched the Void Stalker circle their camp from a safe distance. "Just like we're studying it." "I still don't trust it," Daz said. His injuries were healing, but he kept his weapon close. One wrong move and we're dead. Sumney was busy recording everything. "The Council needs to see this. It changes everything we thought we knew about the Void Stalker." June hadn't slept much. He spent hours watching the creature's movements, taking notes, and thinking about Earth's predators. There were patterns in the Void Stalker's behavior that reminded him of dolphins, wolves, and even big cats. On the morning of the 3rd day, June made a decision. "I'm going to approach it," he announced. Day and Sumney stared at him in shock. "That's suicide," Daz said flatly. "You can't," Sumney added. "We've made progress, but it's still the most dangerous predator in the galaxy." June packed a small bag with some equipment. "On Earth, I worked with dangerous animals. The key is to show them you're not a threat." "This isn't an Earth animal," Day reminded him. "No, but all living things have some things in common," June replied. "They want to survive. They avoid pain. They protect themselves." He showed them his plan. He would approach slowly, carrying his frequency-neutralizing device. He would move in a way that didn't threaten the Void Stalker. Most importantly, he would pay close attention to its reactions and back away at the first sign of aggression. "If something goes wrong, don't try to save me," Jum told them seriously. "Just get this data back to the Council." Sumney set up her recording equipment to capture everything. Day, still protesting, positioned himself where he could provide cover if needed. When the Void Stalker appeared later that day, Jun was ready. The creature hovered at the edge of the forest, its blue markings pulsing gently. Jun took a deep breath and stepped forward. He moved slowly, keeping his body language open and non-threatening. In one hand, he carried the device that blocked the painful frequencies. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand his words but might respond to his tone. "I just want to learn about you." The Void Stalker didn't move away as June approached. Its massive body swayed slightly, like seaweed in an ocean current. June stopped every few steps, giving the creature time to assess him. When he was about 20 meters away, the Void Stalker made a low humming sound. The blue markings on its body flashed in a pattern. "It's communicating," Jun realized. He tried to mimic the sound, making a similar hum in his throat. The creature's markings flashed again. It moved a little closer. Jun remembered how dolphins used echolocation, sound waves, to see their environment. He wondered if the Void Stalker did something similar. He took another careful step forward. Now he was close enough to see details on the creature's body. Its black scales weren't all the same. They varied in size and texture. And near what seemed to be its head, Jun noticed something concerning. There was a wound on the Void Stalker's side, an ugly, infected gash that oozed a glowing blue liquid. It looked like it had been made by a weapon. "You're hurt," Jun said softly. The creature drifted lower, almost as if it was showing Jun the injury. The blue markings around the wound pulsed more rapidly than the others. Jun slowly reached into his bag and took out a medical kit. He held it up so the Void Stalker could see it. "I want to help," he said, "like I helped Da." From the camp, Summy and Dad watched in amazement. "It's letting him get close," Summy whispered. "I can't believe it." "He's either the bravest or the most foolish human in the galaxy," Day replied. Jun carefully prepared a healing gel that he had used on Da's wounds. The Void Stalker watched his every move but didn't retreat. "This might sting," Jun warned as he took the final steps forward. He was now close enough to touch the creature, something no one in recorded history had done and lived. With gentle movements, Jun applied the gel to the wound. The Void Stalker's body tensed, and its markings flashed rapidly. But it didn't attack. As Jun treated the wound, he noticed something embedded in it, a small metal fragment, a piece of Council technology. "Is this what hurt you?" he asked, carefully removing the fragment. The Void Stalker made a sound, almost like a sigh of relief. Its markings glowed brighter, and it moved closer to Jun. For one breathtaking moment, the human and the apex predator of the galaxy were face to face, connected not by fear, but by trust. Over the next few days, Jun spent more time with the Void Stalker. He named it Nova because its blue markings reminded him of stars. Nova seemed to recognize the name, responding when Jun called it. "The wound is healing well," Jun told Sunny as they watched Nova glide through the air above their camp. "The metal fragment I removed was part of a Council deep space transmitter." "So the Council's own technology was hurting it," Sunny said, "and it was just trying to stop the pain." Day sat nearby, sharpening his knife. He had become less afraid of Nova, but still kept his distance. "The Council won't care why it attacked," he said. "They just want it dead." Jun had been teaching Nova simple commands using hand signals. The creature was incredibly smart. It could understand signals for come, stay, and follow. It even brought Jun things it found in the forest, strange plants and colorful rocks. "We need to contact the Council," Jun said. "Show them what we've learned." "Our ship's communication system is still damaged," Sunny reminded him. "We can fix it," Jun said. "Nova doesn't attack when the frequency blocker is on. We can use the ship to send a message without hurting it." They worked together to repair the ship's communication array. Even Da helped, though he still had doubts. "What if the Council doesn't believe us?" he asked. "They'll have to," Jun said. "We have recordings. We have data. And if necessary, I can show them in person." Just as they finished the repairs, their sensors detected something entering Nexus 7's atmosphere. "Multiple ships," Sunny said, checking the readings. "Council ships. How did they find us?" Jun wondered. Day suddenly stood up straighter. His expression changed from surprise to something harder. "They didn't find you," he said in a cold voice. "They followed you, just as planned." Jun and Sunny stared at him in shock. "What are you talking about?" Sunny asked. Day pulled out a small device from his pocket. "Tracking beacon. Been sending your location since we met." His voice was different now, more formal, less rough. "You were never meant to study the creature. You were meant to lead us to it." Before Jun could respond, 5 Council ships landed in the clearing. Armed soldiers poured out, surrounding them. Then a familiar figure stepped forward. "Tahoe." "Well done, Agent Da," Tahoe said with a cruel smile. "The human actually did it. He found the beast. "You're working for Taiho?" Joan asked Da, feeling betrayed. "I work for the council," Da replied, not meeting Jun's eyes. "Always have." Taiho looked around the camp, noting Jun's equipment. "Interesting setup you have here," he said. "Your device blocks council frequencies." "Clever." He turned to his soldiers. "Take all of this. Our scientists will want to study it." "You don't understand," Jun said urgently. "The Void Stalker isn't dangerous if we don't hurt it. It's intelligent. It can be communicated with." Taiho laughed. "Oh, we know it's intelligent. That's what makes it so valuable." "Valuable?" Sumi asked. "Its ability to absorb energy, its resistance to our weapons, its hide that can withstand space travel without protection." Taiho counted on his fingers. "The military applications are endless." Jun felt sick. "You never wanted to protect people from the Void Stalker. You want to use it as a weapon." "The council must maintain its power," Taiho said simply. "This creature will help us do that." He ordered his soldiers to set up a perimeter. Large devices were unloaded from the ship's capture equipment. "We'll use your frequency blocker to keep it calm while we trap it," Taiho explained. "Then we'll study it, learn its secrets, possibly breed more of them if we can." "I won't help you," Jun said firmly. "You already have." Taiho smiled. "Agent Da, restrain them." Da stepped forward with restraints, but he hesitated, looking at Jun. "You treated my wound," he said quietly. "No one's ever done that before." Before Da could decide what to do, a loud rumbling sound filled the air. Nova had returned. The massive creature broke through the trees, its blue markings flashing rapidly. It had sensed the danger. "Activate the traps," Taiho shouted. The soldiers rushed to their equipment. Energy nets powered up, ready to capture Nova. "No," Jun shouted. He broke away from Da and ran toward Nova, waving his arms. "Nova, go away. Danger." Nova didn't retreat. Instead, it dove straight toward Jun. The soldiers raised their weapons, ready to fire. But instead of attacking Jun, Nova positioned itself between him and the soldiers. It was protecting him. "Impossible," Taiho whispered, watching the scene unfold. What happened next would be shown on screens across the galaxy. Nova, the most feared predator in known space, gently lowered its head to let Jun climb onto its back. "Hold your fire," Taiho shouted as his soldiers aimed their weapons at Nova and Jun. "We need them both alive." Nova hovered above the ground with Jun on its back. The creature's blue markings pulsed with bright light. Jun held onto ridges along Nova's body, amazed at how natural it felt to ride the massive creature. "Jun," Sunny called from where soldiers held her. "What are you doing?" "Showing the council what they refuse to see," Jun replied. He patted Nova's side gently. "Nova, up." The Void Stalker understood. It shot upward, carrying Jun high above the trees. From this height, Jun could see Taiho's ships and soldiers spread out below. "After them," Taiho commanded. Two small fighter ships lifted off, pursuing Jun and Nova. Sumni broke free from her guards and ran to her recording device. She needed to document everything. This was history happening before her eyes. "Stop her," Taiho ordered, but Daz stepped in the way. "Let her record," Daz said, surprising himself with his defiance. "The council should see the truth." In the sky, Nova moved with incredible speed and grace. The fighter ships struggled to keep up. When they fired warning shots, Nova easily dodged them. "We're not trying to escape," Jun said to Nova, stroking its scales. "We need to show them what you can really do." Nova seemed to understand. It turned and flew directly toward one of the fighter ships. The pilot panicked and fired an energy weapon. The beam hit Nova directly, but instead of harming the creature, the energy was absorbed into its scales. The blue markings glowed even brighter. Nova struck the ship with its tail, just hard enough to damage the engines, but not destroy the vessel. The ship spun out of control and had to make an emergency landing. It could have destroyed that ship, Sumi commented as she recorded, but it chose not to. Taiho watched with growing frustration. Activate the planetary defense grid, he ordered into his communicator. Lock onto the Void Stalker. Jun heard the hum of large weapons powering up. Defense satellites orbiting Nexus 7 were targeting them. They're going to use the big guns, he told Nova. We need to show them you're not the enemy. Nova dove back toward the camp. It moved in a pattern that Jun recognized from their practice sessions, a display of intelligence, not aggression. As they approached, Sumi activated a large screen she had set up. It showed the data they had collected, proof that the Council's communication network was causing the Void Stalker pain, proof that it only attacked in self-defense. Broadcasting now, she announced, to every Council station and ship. On the screen, images showed the metal fragment Jun had removed from Nova's wound. Diagrams explained how Council frequencies hurt the creature. And most importantly, video showed Jun treating Nova's injury and the trust that developed between them. Stop that broadcast, Taiho shouted, but it was too late. Nova landed in the center of the camp. Jun stayed on its back, facing Taiho and his soldiers. The Void Stalker has never been the enemy, Jun announced loudly. Your own technology has been hurting it. It was just trying to stop the pain. Taiho's communicator beeped urgently. His face paled as he listened to the message. What is it? Dai asked. The High Council, Taiho muttered. They're watching the broadcast. They're asking questions. More ships appeared in the sky, larger vessels bearing the symbols of the High Council, the most powerful members of the Galactic Council. Nova tensed, sensing danger. Jun stroked its scales. It's okay, he said soothingly. I won't let them hurt you. Sumi's recording device captured everything. The arrival of the High Council ships, Taiho's worried face, and most importantly, the human calmly sitting on the back of the galaxy's most feared predator. One of the High Council ships landed. A tall, dignified alien stepped out, one of the oldest and most respected council members. I am Council Elder Min, the alien announced. We have seen the evidence. We need to understand what has happened here. Taiho stepped forward, trying to take control. Elder, I can explain. Not you. Elder Min interrupted. We wish to hear from the human who has done what none of us thought possible. All eyes turned to Jun and Nova. The moment of truth had arrived. Together, human and predator would face the Galactic Council and change the course of history. We're ready, Jun said quietly to Nova. The creature's blue markings pulsed in response, a sign of trust and understanding that transcended species. 1 week later, Jun stood in the center of the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. All 27 council members sat in their high seats, looking down at him. Hundreds of representatives from different worlds filled the viewing areas. Everyone wanted to see the human who had tamed the Void Stalker. Nova waited outside the station in space. The council had been too afraid to let the creature inside, but special viewports allowed everyone to see it floating peacefully near the station. We have reviewed all evidence presented by scientist Sumi, said Elder Min, who led the special hearing. We have studied the data about council communication frequencies and their effect on the creature known as the Void Stalker. The elder turned to where Taiho stood under guard. We have also reviewed Councillor Taiho's actions and his plans to capture the creature for military purposes. Taiho kept his head down, knowing his career was over. Human Jun, Elder Min continued, please explain to the council how you were able to form a bond with this apex predator when our most skilled scientists and warriors could not. Jun took a deep breath. This was his chance to change how the council saw humans and how they saw creatures like Nova. On Earth, we have studied animal behavior for centuries, Jun began. We've learned that even the most dangerous predators are not mindless killers. They act for reasons: hunger, fear, protection, pain. He showed images of Earth scientists working with lions, sharks, and other predators. The Void Stalker, who I call Nova, was acting out of pain. Your communication technology hurts it. It wasn't attacking randomly. It was trying to stop the pain. June explained how he had approached Nova with respect and without weapons, how he had helped heal its wound, how he had learned to communicate with it through simple signals. Nova is highly intelligent, June said. It understands patterns. It recognizes individuals. It can learn and remember. Most importantly, it can choose not to attack even when threatened. Elder Min nodded slowly. And you believe there could be more of these creatures? Yes, Jun said. Nova's behavior suggests it might be searching for others of its kind. If we stop hurting them with our technology, they might not be dangerous at all. The council members talked among themselves. Then Elder Min spoke again. June of Earth, your discovery changes our understanding of the Void Stalker species, but it also changes how we see humanity. The Elder stood, a formal gesture of respect. When humans joined the galactic community, we classified you as a protected species because you seemed physically weak and technologically behind. We were wrong. Murmurs spread through the Great Hall. Humanity's greatest strength is not physical power or advanced technology. Elder Min continued. It is your ability to understand other living beings, your capacity for empathy, your willingness to protect rather than destroy. Elder Min pressed a button, and a large document appeared on the screens around the hall. The High Council has voted. Humanity is granted full membership status in the Galactic Council, effective immediately. Cheers erupted from the Earth representatives. June felt a rush of pride. Furthermore, Elder Min continued when the noise died down. We are establishing a new division within the Council, the Interspecies Communication Division. June, we ask you to serve as its first director. June was speechless. This was more than he had ever hoped for. And the Void Stalker? He asked when he found his voice. Elder Min smiled. The creature you call Nova will be classified as an intelligent species with rights and protections, and we will modify our communication technology to prevent harming them. Through the viewport, Jun could see Nova's blue markings pulsing brightly, almost as if it understood what was happening. Sumi approached Jun, smiling widely. You did it, she said. You changed everything. Even Dai was there, though no longer as a council agent. He had been pardoned for helping expose Taiho's plans. What will you do now? Dai asked Jun. Jun looked out at Nova floating peacefully among the stars. There are more misunderstood creatures out there, he said. More monsters that might just be intelligent beings we haven't learned to communicate with yet. He turned to Sumi and Dai with a smile. Want to come find them with me? As they stood together looking out at the vastness of space, Nova did something no one had seen before. It created a pattern with its blue markings, a pattern that looked remarkably like the symbol for Earth. The apex predator of the galaxy had not only been tamed but had become a friend. And the legend of the human who made it possible was just beginning. June looked out the window of the ship and saw stars that no human had ever seen before. The Earth ship Hope had traveled for 6 years to reach this place. June was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied alien life. Now he would meet real aliens for the first time. Approaching Galactic Council Station, said the ship's computer. Prepare for docking. June's heart beat fast. He had trained for this moment his whole life. Earth had received messages from the Galactic Council 10 years ago. The messages told humans they were not alone in the universe. Now, June was part of the first human team to meet the Council in person. The ship docked with a soft bump. Captain Lee turned to her crew. Remember, she said, we represent all of Earth today. The door opened with a hiss. On the other side stood 3 aliens. One had blue skin and 4 arms. Another was tall and thin with silver scales. The third looked almost like a big cat walking on 2 legs. Welcome, humans, said the blue alien in perfect English. I am Cora, your guide. The council is waiting. June and the team followed Cora down a long hall. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past them. Some had tentacles. Others floated in the air. June wanted to stop and study each one, but there was no time. They entered a massive round room. 27 seats formed a circle, and each seat held a different alien. This was the Galactic Council, with one member from each major species in the galaxy. "The humans have arrived," announced a loud voice. All eyes turned to June and his team. Some aliens whispered to each other. Others made clicking or humming sounds that might have been laughing. A stern-looking alien with red eyes and gray skin stood up. He wore a complex uniform with many badges. "I am Tahoe of the Regellian Empire," he said. "I speak for the Council today. Humans, you are now officially recognized as a protected species of the Galactic Council." Captain Lee stepped forward. "We thank you for this honor. Earth looks forward to working with all species as equals." Tahoe made a sound like a snort. "Equals? Not yet. Protected species are not full members. You must prove your worth first." June felt his face grow hot. He didn't like how Tahoe spoke to them. "May I ask what makes a species worthy?" June asked. Tahoe looked down at June. "Advanced technology, physical capabilities, useful skills. Humans are lacking in all these areas." The other council members nodded. One alien with tentacles for a head spoke up. "Humans have only just learned to leave their solar system. Your bodies are fragile. You have no natural defenses. Even your lifespans are short." June wanted to argue, but Captain Lee put a hand on his arm. "We understand," she said diplomatically. "Earth is young compared to your civilizations. We have much to learn." The meeting continued for hours. The council explained the rules humans must follow. They talked about restricted technologies and forbidden star systems. June took careful notes, but he felt more like a child being lectured than a representative of Earth. As the meeting ended, a small alien with purple skin approached June. Unlike the others, she seemed genuinely friendly. "I am Sumni of the Eldoran," she said. "Not all of us share Tahoe's views. I have studied Earth's biology. Your species has interesting qualities." "Like what?" asked June. "Adaptability, creativity." Sumni's large eyes blinked. "And a trait we rarely see. You form bonds with other species. On your world, you live with animals you call pets. This is unusual." Before June could respond, Tahoe called Sumni away. She gave June a small nod before leaving. That night, June looked out at the strange stars again. The council saw humans as weak and primitive, but Sumni had noticed something they hadn't. Perhaps humans did have something valuable to offer the galaxy after all. He just needed a chance to prove it.